Welcome to the AgapHEY podcast. I'm Beck, a passionate, sold-out lover of Jesus who accidentally started a Christian singles ministry, and now I want to help as many people as possible to find their husband or wife while being super healthy and full of hope. So get ready for some real, raw talk about all things singleness and dating. Hello. Welcome to the very first ever AgapHEY podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have been really excited to do a podcast. I don't know, for the last I would say 6 months or so, I've heard people saying, you should do a podcast and talk about your story and talk about singleness. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, but I've been doing lots of interviews recently, especially in the last year, and I just love talking to people. And so I am so excited that you can join me on the AgapHEY podcast. This is a podcast for amazing lay-down lovers of Jesus who are single. They might want some encouragement, some things that bring hope, just to hear stories that are incredible, that uplift, and hear about different people's journeys as well. So I'd love to tell you guys a little bit about how AgapHEY started first, because I feel like, you know what, I want you to get to know me a little bit better. Like, you are just listening to a random voice. Some of you have never seen me before. My name is Beck Chamberlain. I just got married, so that is not my name, or it hasn't been my name for most of my life, so I'm still getting used to it. But basically, oh gosh, the story of AgapHEY. All right, settle in, folks. So back in December of 2019, I was at a school of ministry, and I just noticed there are a lot of single people around here. Like, everyone is so on fire for Jesus. They are running after kingdom things. There's 3,000 people in this school. How are all these people single? Coming from Australia, there was no eligible people around. Literally, I'm like, where are all the single guys? And for the better part of 5 years, I think I had one date, guys. I'm not even joking. I had to really let the Lord work through my heart a little bit, because I developed some lies about men, especially Australian men, during that time. And I got very judgy. So anyway, I come to my school of ministry 2019, December. And I think, you know what? There's so many single people around here. I'm going to create a speed dating event. Why not? I feel like it would be incredible. People can meet, they can date. And I started organizing it. I kind of put it out there on the Facebook groups that we had. And you know what? It just fell flat. I think it was too close to Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I was really passionate about it. It just didn't work. And so we ended up just going, okay, well, we'll just cancel it. It's not a big deal. And then fast forward to March of 2020, when COVID happened, right? So the world's in chaos. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? We were literally quarantined into our homes. I had a boyfriend at the time who literally lived 10 steps away from me, who I was like, hey, I can't actually see you at the moment. It was really tough. But somebody reached out to me and said hey, I remember you wanted to do a singles event. Why don't you do online speed dating, so people can get to know one another? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm pretty up for stuff, so I'll say yes to most things. I'm like, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And so we advertised it, not even that much, and we had 75 people come to the first one. And I was like, well, this is really cool. I had a lot of fun. People got I was going to say radically touched by God, but they didn't get radically touched by God. They just got really excited about it. I feel like I've been in charismatic circles for too long, when I'm like, oh my gosh, and they were super touched by Jesus. But that's actually not what happened. I'm not going to lie. But I feel like that's just the natural thing that comes next when that comes out of your mouth. Anyway, I'm rambling. And so, yeah, we did the event. Like I said, it went really well. And I was like, oh, cool, let's keep doing these. And so we kept booking them in. And I actually wanted to let people know, so I posted it in one group twice, once 1 week and once a week later. And I had the administrator for the group reach out to me and say, hey, you've been posting in the group a little bit much. Some people aren't single in the group. It's not really, we just don't want you to post anymore about these events that you're having. I said, oh, that's interesting, because I've only posted twice. She was like, oh, no, I know there's been some before that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, we haven't really, we only just started, but that's fine, not a problem. I don't know. I think she must have confused me with someone else. So the logical next step was, okay, well, I'll just start my own group. I'll start my own singles group where I can actually post the events that we're having so that we can serve the singles. Because, like I said at the time, I was in a relationship and I was like, I just want to help as many people as possible to get into a relationship, to find the person that God has for them. And a really great way of doing that is through speed dating, or I started calling it speed get to know yous, because I found that speed dating was a little bit too high stakes. People felt like they were going on a date. Whereas a speed get to know you, it's like, oh, I can actually just have fun. I'm getting to know new people. I'm practicing my social skills. I'm practicing getting to talk to people of the opposite sex, and I'm having a lot of fun, and it's way less stress. So we called it speed get to know yous, and I had this group that I started, and I think it took like 2 weeks, and we had over 400 members, and that was really cool. I was like, wow, this thing's like really growing. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And we kind of hit our mark at like the 1200 mark. And that's kind of where we've sat. And it's been awesome. And I've been serving that group for the last year. So we have been putting on events as best we could around COVID. We've been doing online events, online speed, get to know yous. We've generated a lot of discussion, a lot of forums. People have gotten engaged. I mean, I know at least, I think 5 or 6 couples now who are engaged, getting married. I know couples who've gotten together through the groups. It's been really, really encouraging. And it's amazing when they come to me and like, oh, you know what, we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for your speed dating event. We wouldn't have met if it wasn't for this or this. And so I'm like, oh, cool. Like when it's tough and people are critical, that super keeps me going. I'm like, okay, there's a vision for this. And then, yeah, a lot of people reached out to me and said, hey, I have friends who aren't in this ministry school, and I know that the group you created was exclusive for this ministry school, but can we invite our friends that, you know, are revivalists or on fire for the Lord, are kingdom-minded, but they don't go to the ministry school? And so I prayed about it for a little bit, and I didn't have a peace about letting them in. I felt like culture in the group that we cultivated was actually super important. And because we'd all gone through the same school, we had very similar hearts, very similar like ways of honoring one another, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought, okay, Lord, what do I do? And I just literally I just prayed, because I was like, I don't see a solution to this. Like, if I let people in, people aren't going to be happy. If I don't, like, you know, people are missing out. What do I do? And I felt God just say, just start another group. So I was like, okay. So I started the Revivalist Christian Singles group. That's another Facebook group that I run. I think we have about 900 people in there at the moment, which is super cool. That group has grown super organically. And those people are really going for it. Like, they want to meet, they want to have events. They're actually very hungry. I found that group was way more hungry because, again, it's still an exclusive group, but they don't just get to be a part of it because they were a part of a school. Like, we have a filtering process before we even let somebody into these groups. And so they are just really, really, I think, even more like they comment more, they interact more, they're just more hungry for really good content. They want to be, you know, listening to amazing interviews and just be around community, singles community, because I think a lot of them, they're from all over the world. They don't have the kind of community that we're trying to foster and build within the singles. And so that's been really cool. So I've been leading that group, I don't know for how long now. I can't remember when I started it. But I have amazing admins for both of the groups who are kind of stewarding them and helping me, because for a very long time it was just me. I think, yeah, before like December. So it'd been like a good 8-9 months where I kind of had admins, but it was really just me. And now I have new ones, and they're really incredible, and they've been helping me a lot. And then I just started seeing that, hey, there's a lot of demand in these groups. Like, people are on dating sites, but they are not getting like what they're wanting met. They're meeting all kinds of people who say that they're Christian. They're asking for all sorts of photos. You know, they're being super inappropriate, or they're all different ranges of Christian. And so my heart was, okay, well, I see this is a common pain point that a lot of people are pointing out. What can I do about it? I realize now I'm a like a problem solver, and so I see something, I'm like, cool, what can I create? How can I help these people? And that's really how AgapHEY came about. I thought, you know what, I've got to create a dating site. I've got to create something where they can just meet other revivalists. They don't have to, you know, spend all day scrolling through all these people from, various denominations who believe vastly different things, which is totally fine and totally okay. But if you're a revivalist and you're like, hey, I want someone who believes in the gifts of the Spirit, who's charismatic, isn't going to freak out if I start speaking tongues or start talking about prophecy. How do I meet these people who are really burning and running where I want to be going? And so, yeah, I just thought, okay, I'm going to create an app. And guys, I've been creating this thing for almost a year. So I was like, okay, Lord, I have to create something. I know, I'll create an app. I feel like I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was actually going to be. It's actually not that easy. Hence why it's almost a year later and I'm still working on it. But praise the Lord for perseverance, because he gave me a word and I'm just trying to be faithful with it. So I remember going, okay, I'm going to create an app. What am I going to call it? And I thought, oh, agape, AGAPE, is beautiful because that's what we want. We want agape love. It's unconditional, it's everlasting, it's the love that God has for us as well. That's what we have in marriage. It's that agape love. And then I thought, well, it's not like it's a really cool word, but I just want something a little catchy. And and I heard God. I really was just praying about it, and I felt like just AgapHEY came into my spirit, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, in order to get to that agape love that you're wanting, you have to say hey first. Hello, random stranger who's now going to become my friend, then my boyfriend, then my husband. And so I was like, well, I think it's corny, but it's not super corny, that people will still like it and think it's kind of cute. And so that's where AgapHEY was birthed, just like sitting down, just kind of journaling and like writing things out and just like dreaming with the Lord. And I thought, oh, you know what? I really like that. I think it's kind of funny. And so most of the time people don't get it until I spell it out. And they're like, oh, that's super cute. And so that's where the name came from. And yeah, so I started developing one app and I got really specific. I sent out surveys to people in the singles groups. Hey, what do you want in a dating app? And I got lots of feedback. I had over 120 people tell me, hey, this is what I would love to see. This is what I struggle with currently in dating apps. This would be really great. These are the things I'm already liking in apps that I'm a part of. And I found actually like 80 to 90% of the people are already on apps or using them currently. They've already used them or are currently using them. So I was like, well, this is something that, we really have a need for. But anyway, I found out the hard way that unless you have like a vast amount of money, I'm talking about like $20,000 worth of money, you're not really guaranteed the kind of work that you want. So I had to eventually, I had a developer, had to stop using that person, found another one, really bad experience for like 6 months. Had to stop using him as well. There's money involved in the process. And I was like, okay, Lord, I don't know what to do. Found another developer. That didn't work out. But God just kept sending people my way. And the beautiful thing is when the Lord's in something, he provides for it. And so I found every time I turned around and said, oh my gosh, I've got a problem. I need somebody to do this, this, or this. I turn around, the person would be behind me. Hey, I can do that for you. I can do that for you for free. I can help you with that. Somebody made a promotional video for me and they approached me. I hadn't even thought about that yet. Hey, I'd love to make a video for you for this site. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, thanks. And I've got a mentor who's incredible, who was like, I want to mentor you. I was a student at this ministry school, and I almost said the name of it. I have a heart for this, and I actually want to create something similar, and I want to come and like partner with you and mentor you through it. So that's been super fun and such a blessing. We've brought on interns. I have 3 interns currently because we want to go, okay, how can we continue to serve these communities? So anyway, that's the dating side of things, the dating site side of things. And then we're also working on like just having events, having in-person and online events, continuing to do, online dating, speed get to know yous, having online just community events to build community, to build, interactions between people of faith so that they can actually get to know new people. I find when you're having more dates, it becomes less scary and it becomes less high stakes. And that's what we're about. We want people to have fun, to enjoy the dating process. And you know what? I think dating is actually more about us growing than necessarily, like, obviously we want to find somebody and like that's kind of the ultimate goal. But I think people who kind of just wait. And that's totally what we do in my culture. We just kind of wait until someone eventually, after like 3 years of friendship, says, hey, you're kind of cute. You know, you want to come over and hang out. And you're like, oh, we're in a relationship. I feel like dating actually is for you to grow as a person. Like, you discover your triggers, you discover your likes, you discover your dislikes. You learn about like, oh, I actually didn't like this about myself. I didn't like how I reacted in this situation. Hey, I need to work on really healthy communication. Like, you grow in a lot of skills. I think also dating, and I'm not talking like just casual, hey, obviously we're Christians, we're not talking about sleeping around dating. I'm talking about going out, having coffee, and entertaining the idea of different people. I think is really incredible for our growth, as well as actually finding our future spouse. And I've seen leaders talk about this, where it's like, oh, actually they encourage it because you grow so much, and for me, I found you really refine your focus. So I was on a dating site for like 3 months, and I felt God tell me to do it, and he really had to, because I thought they were kind of silly. And my friend told me she joined one, and I was kind of laughing about it. And then that night, God was like, you should join. And I was like, ooh, are you sure? But what it did, I got to know a few people. I had coffee. I don't call them dates. They weren't dates. It was more like an interview. Or like a meeting. Sorry, not an interview. I was like having a meeting with somebody, meeting up, having a chat with them. And I had a lot of fun, honestly. Like, I really just enjoyed meeting new people, making new friends. If they asked me to hang out afterwards, I'd respectfully decline, but I really did enjoy just getting to know them in the first place. But where was I going with this? Sometimes I just get so carried away. I'm like, what am I saying? And where is this plane about to land? Oh yeah. So what it did, sorry, redirecting. What it did actually was really refine my focus and refine my gaze. Because before I thought, you know what, I just want them to be a Christian. Well, I had dates with quite a lot of different kind of people, and I found out just having just Christian wasn't actually what I was looking for. It wasn't actually what I wanted. I had dates with, people who were Catholic, who went once a year to church. Meetings. I had meetings with people who said they were Christian and never went to church, and really did not have the character, and obviously didn't have the accountability that I was looking for. So I thought, you know what? Ooh, my non-negotiables have actually changed quite a bit, and I'm looking for a certain type of person. And I found, you know what? I'm not meeting anybody who is super on fire for Jesus. So I'll chillax and I'll wait. But it was a really important season, a really important time, because it actually really did refine my focus. Now, if there was people there that I could see would love Jesus, I would totally be open to going coffee and getting to know them. There just was nobody around. And so that's why coming to America and coming to where my school of ministry is, oh my goodness, it was like a smorgasbord. I'm like, there are so many incredible, godly men and women. Like, take your pick, people, and I just was looking around like, oh my goodness. And God was really talking to me about, seasons and things changing and things coming up for me. And I was getting so excited. And I kind of had a feeling I was going to, get into a relationship. And I did. Excuse me, I just burped a little. I've had some stomach issues today. I'm not going to go too far into it, but let's just say I've been running to the loo like pretty much all day. So I might be burping through this. I apologize, but it's real. It's real life. So yeah, I really was like, oh, I started being in going to some things in my street that I lived in, and there was a guy there, and he was amazing. Everybody called him the hot guy on the street. And the incredible thing was, he started just paying special attention to me. And this is what I mean about dating. It really brings things up in your heart. Because I remember thinking, oh, he'll never be interested in me. And I'd always been so confident. I've been confident aside from dating, but I realized actually when it came to dating, I didn't think that an amazing man would ever want to be with me. And that was really hard. I remember talking to my pastor and just talking to him about it. And he said, it sounds like this guy might like you. And I just broke down in tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, why am I crying? And I thought, well, no one, like, why would he like me? Like, he's so incredible. He's done all these things. He had actually graduated the school, had done all 3 years, and was, leading teams. Why would he be interested in me? And everyone calls him the hot guy on the street. Before, we don't even know his name yet, and that's what they're calling him. Why would he be into me? And so it started this beautiful process of me just journeying through that and going, okay, what's this bringing up in my heart now? Where did these insecurities come from? Because honestly, I can tell you, when you're single, you don't get stretched in the same way as when you start dating or when you get into a relationship. There's not somebody with you all the time. You're stretched differently in like purity. It's a lot easier to be pure and really pursue purity when you're single. It's, when you actually got somebody with you and you both have to fight for it. That's when it gets tricky. That's when it, like, you're like, oh, okay, we have to fight for this thing now. At least that's what I found. And so I found starting to date, my ex, it really brought up these things in my heart. And he was an incredible man of God. Honestly, like, I have so much respect for him. I have only good things to say. He treated me incredibly. And we dated for almost 6 months and started looking towards, like, if we are going to, work towards marriage. We started doing DTR. And it was within that time I thought, you know what? I want to help people. Date. I want to help people like find their person. And so that's when BSSM, well, there you go, I've said it. That's when the ministry school that I was a part of, just pretend I didn't say that, don't listen, just block your ears, the singles group came about. And, we actually parted ways quite soon after that, probably a month later, because we just was like, I went back home to Australia, he was in America, and I just realized, you know what, we are really incompatible. We are both incredible people. We love Jesus. We're on fire. We have similar ministry. We have an amazing call in our lives. But my goodness, are we incompatible? Like, the things I love to do, that was not his jam. And the things he loved to do, I was like super not into. And it just brought up way more clashes and just made life like not fun for either of us. And so there was nothing wrong with that. It just didn't work out. And so then I got to actually have a season of dating while I was in, I was in Australia. I was back home. The page was going off and people are joining and it's like a super fun time. And I actually started dating someone. I put it on the Facebook group. I felt like when I was ready to date again, I kind of explained what had happened. And I actually did a Facebook Live the day we broke up. And I asked him for permission. Hey, would you mind? I feel like I really want to let the community in on this because I just want to let them into like how to break up well and with honor, because we had prayed for one another. We had blessed one another. We blessed one another's future marriages. We just were like, thank you for this that you brought to my life. Thank you for this that you brought to my life. And we ended things in a really beautiful and organic way. Where like a week ago, I thought like we would be together for a really long time, and the Lord just really highlighted some stuff as soon as we were apart and we were different countries. Oh, actually, this isn't quite what I'm wanting. And so, I did a Facebook Live to be like, hey, and it was incredible and super powerful, and people were really touched because I really value authenticity and just being like, hey, I'm going to let you into my process. Like, you know what? I'm dating, and I just broke up with the guy that I thought I was going to marry. But it was crazy because after that, I'm leading a group. There's, by this point, there was like 1,800 people, I think. And I'm like, okay, I think I just had so much hope. I was like, I am going to have an incredible husband. Like, I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I just know I'm going to. Like, it is going to happen for me. And I was like drunk on hope, you guys. Like, I don't even know why. Because before that dating experience, I was so scared of breaking up with someone. I was so scared of being alone. I had wanted marriage for so long. I've been a Christian for 13 years, and I was single for pretty much all of that time. Like, I had a 3-month boyfriend here, a 3-month boyfriend there, and then like my 6-month boyfriend. That was pretty much it. And I felt like boys were just always on my mind. I'd go to events and be like, "Oh, is it him? Is it him?" It was like fully distracting me. And then I'd go through seasons where I was like a bit more okay with it, and then another season where I was like, no, I really want it again. And, but then I got to date as a leader of a singles group. And it was a really beautiful experience. Like, I went on quite a few dates, especially when I came back to America. I, got to go out and meet people, and it was just fun. And I got to have really brave communication and be like, hey, thank you so much for that. That's not actually something I want to do again, but I really appreciate you coming for me. And you know what? I'm going to find you someone. And it's really funny because there was a guy that asked me for a video call, And he was very honoring, very kind. We had the video call, and afterwards, I thought, you know what? This is not something I want to pursue. Like, I know we're never gonna like be a couple or date or anything. But he still messaged me and said, "Hey, I really enjoyed our time yesterday. I just want you to let you know, I don't want to like pursue this further, but I really hope you felt honored and valued during this process." And I was like, absolutely, I feel so honored and valued. And this person actually ended up still participating in the group, being a part of the group, and I got to champion him to other women, be like, this guy's amazing, you should date him, like you'll have the best experience and you'll walk away feeling so honored and valued and cared for. And then we were actually able to bring this person on in a capacity to help out with some of the things that we were doing, and he was able to find somebody, and is currently in a relationship through that process. Really funny. Most of the people that I bring on to help me end up in relationships really quickly. That's how I lose all my people, because suddenly they're distracted by their boyfriend and girlfriend. And I'm like, hey, remember how you were like gonna help us out with this thing, and then you like found somebody through it, and now you don't really, which is that's more of a joke, but really they do kind of find their person, and then it's just like, hey, I don't have all this free time anymore, which is totally fine, because that's exactly what we want. Like, I feel like the groups we've created, we actually want people to leave. Like, the goal is that they would get married. And the goal is that they would find someone, And so I feel like it's funny having the only Facebook group probably ever where the goal is, hey, we actually want you to move on from this group. And, we might have other things that we put in place afterwards for additional support, but it's just a little bit funny. Anywho, I'm rambling. Readjust back to center. Yeah, so dating was super fun. And then guys, I can't wait to tell you in the next podcast that I put out, I'm gonna tell you how I met my husband. And the last thing I really want to talk about before we go is that there's all these lies that you hear about getting married. And I think let's say this. They're more like prescriptions. Hey, do this and you'll find the person. Do this and you'll like bend the arm of God to like bring your person about. And I just found like they were such rubbish. Like, and I think people say it because they probably know enough people who've experienced this that they can say it and they're trying to comfort you. But things like, oh, it'll happen when you least expect it. No, I was expecting it. I knew it was coming. I knew that my husband was coming very soon. I just didn't know who it was going to be. And so think lies like that, it'll happen when you least expect it, means, oh no, now I have to perform. Now I have to really try and not expect it because I want to meet that person. But in the trying not to expect it, you start expecting it more because you really want it and you start desiring it more, but you're really trying to not expect it. It's like this vicious circle. And you're like, well, if it only happens when I least expect it, I'm expecting it all the time, so it's never going to happen. And I just did not find that happened for me at all. Like, I was really content. I was super happy as a single. I had been really healed up. I felt really whole. But I was like, oh, it's coming. It's going to be good. Like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? And then what are some of the other ones? I've been thinking about these recently and just being like, oh no. Like Nick, the funny thing is my husband Nick, he was not what I expected. I thought it was going to be someone completely different. So in that sense, it was unexpected. But in the sense of like knowing I was going to get married soon, nope. When you're content, it will happen. So you got to be super content in the Lord. And so again, it becomes this performance thing. Hey, you've got to get a certain way to perform yourself into kind of twisting the arm of God to give you your spouse. Now, obviously, being content and having full surrender to the Lord and Him being your primary, your one and only, is like the best and most healthy way to get into a relationship. But I find that that's not necessarily, like, I know people who've got into relationships with their husbands and they were not in that place, but it's not like God withheld that person from them. Hey, you're not at this point yet. You're not at this magical place of full surrender, full contentment. So I'm not going to give you this person yet. I just haven't found that at all. I found like even for me, I was like struggling with contentment. Like I wanted to be content, and most of the time I was, but I had moments and times, and probably like more than just a moment, like a day, 2 days, 3 days, where I'm like, I've lost vision for this. Like I'm drunk on hope, but I definitely had those moments where I was like, how is this ever going to happen? Am I going to be single forever? Like, I don't understand. I've lost vision. And if I believed, oh, well, I have to wait till I have to get super content, and then because I've worked for it, I've earned it, and I've gone to this place of contentment, then God owes me something. Because I was told that if I was content, He'd send my person. I don't know. I don't see that in the scriptures. I don't see that in the word. I do see delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. So yes, definitely loving Jesus, putting Him first, but I don't feel like there's this magical spot of like, oh, you're 100% content now. Here's your little gift. Here's your reward. You've done really well. You get to have a partner. You get to have a husband or wife. You've earned it. Yeah, I don't really see that. I don't really see that happening. Um, and we believe these lies. And I guess another really big lie too is that there's no good men in the church, or there's no good men around. I feel like that's such a lie from the pit of hell. I really found that as I started to change my mindset around, believing that men were a certain way, whether it was they were passive or they acted a certain way, because it's actually not true. It is actually not true. Yes, some people are like that and some girls are like that. But when I actually started going, you know what, I'm gonna look for truth. Because I've been believing these lies. I'm gonna take the lies and replace them with truth, and I'm gonna look for evidence of the new truth. I started looking for evidence of the truth. And I started seeing the most incredible men around me. And Nick was one of them, who I thought, man, he's going to make a great husband one day. Oh, his wife's going to be so blessed. I never thought it would be me. But the more I looked, the more I saw. The more I looked for truth in situations, the more I saw. And so a lot of these lies that I had been believing about men, about marriage, I started believing some really skewed things about marriage, to be honest. Like, I was involved in a business where we went around and met a lot of people, and I heard so many times women just complaining about their husbands, or saying, oh, I can't spend any money because my husband will kill me, and then saying things like, their friends would say like, oh, but didn't he go out and buy a new lawnmower last week? I'm like, yeah, I know. And I thought, oh, this is awful. And I heard it so many times. I remember going to the Lord and saying, Lord, you have to guard me. You have to guard my heart. You have to guard my ears, because I feel like this is giving me a really skewed vision of marriage. And I don't want that. I don't want someone dictating my time and saying I can't spend my own money and rah. The enemy just came in and tried to plant a seed there. But then I started looking for truth. I was like, you know what? This is not the truth. The truth is that God created marriage, and it is a good thing. So Lord, bring godly marriages into my life. Show me the truth of how incredible marriage can be. And I started replacing those lies with truth. And by the end, I was like, marriage is incredible. I'm so excited for it. I see people who are like in covenant, they're a partnership, they're doing things together for the kingdom, and they're having a massively fun time with, like, it's like somebody's like, on their team. You're on the same team working towards the same goal. And I was like, I want that. And honestly, I can say now on this side of marriage, it is incredible. Like, I thoroughly recommend getting married. I've been married for 5 weeks now, very newlywed. And I'll tell you my story in the next podcast. But I'm so in love with my husband, and it has been super tough. And I can't wait to unpack more of like actually what marriage was like, because on the other side, I had so many misconceptions. I thought it was going to be so different. And on this side, I'm like, oh, okay, we're still just the same people and we live together. It's kind of like having a roommate, still getting used to it, having a roommate who I love and I share my bed with, but still is just my best friend who I want to spend all my time with. And it's very similar to when we were dating. I thought there'd be like this cosmic change, and like the universe would shift, and like, oh, he's the one, and we feel like we're one flesh. But what I'm finding from speaking to a lot more married people is it actually takes time to grow into that role. It takes time to grow into really understanding what that means. And that's not bad. It just, was not expecting that. I thought it would just happen. And so, yeah, it's just been a really incredible journey. But yeah, coming against those lies, coming against these things that we believe. Oh, some of them are so silly. Oh, I think another really good lie is I have to look a certain way for my husband to notice me. I have to be really hot, really is what we're thinking, or my husband or my wife. I have to look a certain way, or I have to have, I think maybe for men it's different, but for women, I know for me, I have to be really toned, really active, be looking my best to attract this person. And excuse me, what I found is actually that really plays such an insignificant role. Like, obviously we want to be attracted to the person, but I found that you can find your husband or your wife no matter what you look like. Like, I've heard so many testimonies. Even one of my mentors, she was sharing how she fell in love with her husband, and she was like, you know what, he was this guy that all the girls were going after, and she showed me a picture, and he was really cute. And she said, and she's like, I look like a bum. And I was like, no way, you're pretty. And she was like, no, you do not understand. And she showed me a photo of how she used to dress: oversized shirt, baggy pants, no makeup, hair all askew. I still think she looked pretty, but obviously by like the world standards, it would look like she wasn't putting in heaps of effort. And she was like, and he still saw me and was like, her, that's what I want. And I found time and time again that actually that stuff, although it's good for us to, to look cute, and I think it really helps with our self-confidence, when it's the right person, it's like, oh, that's my person, and they see you past that. And that's what I really noticed, like, dating Nick. Like, sometimes I was not having my best days, and he just like loved me so much and so relentlessly, and I saw it more and more in other people. And when they're like, telling me testimonies of how they met their partner, and it wasn't when they were their ideal look. Maybe they weren't their ideal, I don't know, whatever. They didn't have their ideal makeup on, or weren't at their ideal weight, or whatever they think their ideal would be to like attract a person. They weren't that, and their partner was still so engrossed in who they were. Their partner was still so attracted and drawn in. And so I think that's another really big lie. I have to look 100% great, otherwise he won't notice me. And that's one lie that I really believed, to be honest. And the more I saw people, the more I got to know just the heart of the Lord, and seeing the heart of God in people as well, the more my heart changed towards myself, but also changed towards Nick. Because I'm going to share my story at a later date, but I would never have thought he was going to be my husband. We laugh about it now, because he says, oh gosh, if I had ever approached you to ask you out, you would have said no. And I was like, 100% I would have said no. Like, he was not my vision at all for the kind of person I was going to marry, like looks wise. He's not unattractive at all. He's super cute, but very different than what I was envisioning. And so, yeah, these are just some lies that I just were like, they need to go to the pit, because we've been believing them and believing them and believing them and believing them. And yes, I feel like they are truths for some people, but when they become prescriptions, and like, this is the way to find someone, and this is the thing you have to believe for it to happen, I think that's when it's a lie, and that's when it actually needs to die. Because obviously people say these things because it is true for some people, but it's not true for everyone. And so, yeah, it didn't happen when I least expected it. I wasn't at my all-time best looking ever. I what was the other lies? Like, yeah, it's just so much more real and so much more raw. And God is so good in the process. Guys, I want you to have hope, because he has an amazing plan, an amazing destiny for you, and he knows who you're going to marry. And most people, I think statistically, I don't know the actual statistic, but most people statistically will get married in their lifetime. And so, the odds are in your favor. There are a lot of people in the world, and it only takes one. You do not need every single person to like you. You do not need every guy to be attracted to you, or every girl to be attracted to you. It literally takes one person, one time, one day to change your entire life. So go out there, meet new people, and see what the Lord will do. Guys, I hope you have an incredible day. If you're listening to this, I just pray blessing upon you in Jesus' mighty name. I pray for hope to rise up within you, hope for the amazing plan, the amazing destiny he has for you, not just in the area of marriage, but just in every area of your life. And I just declare supernatural favor over you, and that if you are listening to this, that the Lord will give you favor with man, favor with just meeting the right people, doors opening, the right circles that you come into, whether it's for school or business or whatever it is. I just pray abundant blessings upon you in Jesus' mighty name. And I just want to impart more and more testimonies like this over you. I feel like there's so much hope. I feel like I literally feel drunk on hope for the incredible promises that God has for you. And I want you to get rid of anything that is stealing your hope and stealing your joy. If there's a TV show that you're watching, if you're scrolling through Instagram and it's making you discontent and want a partner, for me, that was TikTok. I was on TikTok for all of like 2 weeks while I was in quarantine, and it made me super sad because I was like, I want a boyfriend, I want a husband. This is so cute. They're all so attractive. I want one now. And actually, it stole my hope, and it stole my peace, and it stole my faith in trusting in God. Because if I knew what He had for me, I never would have doubted His goodness. His best has always been better than the best I could ever hope or imagine for myself. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. And it always has been. I need to continue to come back with my faith in Him and not allow myself to be swayed by the world, by TV shows. There are a lot of things that made me think, oh gosh, I want this. God's withholding something amazing from me on purpose. But that's really not the truth. And so, yeah, if there are things that are stealing your peace, stealing your faith, stealing your joy, stealing your hope for amazing godly marriages, or they're giving you a really skewed view on what marriage is. Some TV shows, the guy's the lazy one, the wife's the nagging one. I encourage you, either stop watching them or start to replace it with truth. Because obviously whatever you meditate on, that's what you're going to actually bring into your heart and agree with. And for me, I had to stop watching things like that because I'm like, oh, this isn't truth. Like, Lord, I thank you that men aren't like that. Women are not like that. Lord, thank you that marriage is good. It is not this constant struggle of like, oh, he did something I didn't like, she's nagging. This is not the reality of how you create a marriage to be, and I refuse to like buy into that narrative and have that become my truth. And the truth of the scriptures is so much better. Like the word of God talks about two becoming one, and they'll be one flesh, united. It's meant to be a beautiful union, beautiful covenant. And I feel like a lot of these things minimalize it and make it cheap and make us almost question like, oh, is this even worth it? Like, it doesn't seem that fun, but honestly, it is so fun. Yes, I'm fresh and doughy-eyed, and it has been so hard work, guys. I'm definitely have no, like, one thing our premarital counselor said is, you guys have no rose-colored glasses. Like, you were coming in with this, there's no like, oh, it's all about the lust, it's all about the fun. It wasn't fun, and there wasn't a lot of anything else going on. It was not fun. Our engagement, even our first little bit of marriage, was super tough. But going into it, oh, I know this is good. I know this is what God has for me, and this is the person that I love, and I'm choosing, and my choice is more and more important than just a mere feeling. And the feelings are there, and they're great. But actually, imagine having somebody who you annoy and you fight with, and you have a really tough time with sometimes, but you love them, and they choose you amidst all of that, and you get to choose them back. Oh, guys, it is. Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's a lot harder than being single, but only because of the things that come up in your heart. It's only when people say it's hard, it's not to throw people off or make them believe that marriage is a bad thing. It's just, yeah, when you're alone, there's not somebody with you all the time, kind of sharpening you and grinding you and like bringing into question some of the things that you do, or exposing the sinfulness of your heart sometimes. But when you're around somebody more often, yeah, that really does come up. And so I don't even want to say hard, it's more difficult, but it's so worth it because the Lord is actually using that person. Iron sharpens iron. He's making us more like Him. He's sharpening out the edges. He's sharpening out the things that don't look like Him. So actually, even though it's not always pleasant, it's so beautiful. Just like any friendship, any relationship that we have, marriage is like the ultimate one because we're closer than any other person. Think about your best friend being with you every single day, all the time. They probably rub you up the wrong way, but you love them and they sharpen you, and it's a good thing. So yeah, I just want to encourage you. Marriage is incredible. I want to give you a really honest view, but also not make it like it's not a good thing, because it is good. And God created man, and he saw that it was good. You know, he created, he created Eve and saw that it was good. When man was created, it was, this is not good. It's not good for him to be alone. And so he created Eve to be a helpmeet for him, to be in partnership with him for the work of the kingdom that they had to do together. Come on. So there is work that the Lord has for you. Whoever you are listening, there is work that the Lord has for you to do. And I really believe that in this season, the word I received, and that's why I'm going full steam ahead with this ministry to help people find one another, is because I believe that in this season, God's bringing together Holy Spirit partnerships and teams. He's pairing people up to do the work of the kingdom. And with COVID and everything else that's happening, this is the time and this is the season where, you know what, there's work to be done. And so I really believe that that's what he's doing right now. And that's kind of the mandate he's put on my life. And it's something that I'm like, okay, I'm responsible for how I steward this. And I want to help as many people as possible. I want to have as many fun events. I want to help as many people get introduced to one another as I possibly can, so that they can find their person and continue their story and change their generational lines. Because I feel like amazing godly families start with amazing godly marriages. We start with amazing godly on fire people. And if we're going to change generations, I really believe it starts within the family home. And we get to be such an example to the world of what incredible families look like. And I am just so humbled that the Lord would want to use me and the things that we're doing in that ministry. That's something that I burn for right now. This is the biggest desire of my heart, apart from like being married and all that other stuff, family stuff. This is what I burn for. And so, yeah, I bless you. We are going to have more episodes coming. Keep an eye out. We're going to be releasing them on Wednesdays. And if you have questions, I'm sure you can comment on this somehow. I'm really new to podcasts. I don't really know how it works. But you can also email me at agapeheydating@gmail.com. That's AGAPHEY dating@gmail.com if you have any questions or anything that you would like us to address in future podcasts. I love talking about dating. It is my favorite thing right now, apart from talking about Jesus. So I will absolutely love to chat to you about it. Okay, well, hope you have a great one, guys.